If you want to make your business and your marketing memorable, then your marketing needs to tell a story. Hey champions, welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we talk about the best-selling books and their best principles to help you with your best life. I'm so glad to be your host today, William Blake. We're also joined by our co-host Ian Sturmer, as well as the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr. And we are so excited today to continue the book Launch by Jeff Walker as we jump into this fourth episode. And we thought, what do we need to do? What is the topic for today? Because we went over the triggers when it comes to launch. We went over the pre-launch. And like we've hit certain topics in this book that have really added value into our lives and hopefully yours as well. And what we thought was that what we can do is talk about what happens after the launch. How do we continually get that momentum? Continually, if we launch more than just once, continually get that scarcity mindset, the people coming in, the engagement and everything in between. So very excited to talk about it today as we jump into this episode. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. And I'm actually going to turn it over to the one who posed this idea in the green room as we talked about it. Ian, I'm going to turn it right over to you and let's just have a great discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So how do you keep doing a launch? How do you keep doing it over and over again so that it doesn't get boring? It doesn't get routine. It's not just the same thing over and over again. And the first question is going to be the easy one. How often should we do a launch? Okay, Jeff Walker says 3 to 4 times a year. Now that we've covered that, because I'm not sure what else to say on that side. How do you make it fresh? How do you keep it new and unique that 3 to 4 times a year? And I'm going to say, what we see all the time is a furniture store. Every single minor holiday, there is a sale at the furniture store. Every President's Day, every Labor Day, every Memorial Day, every Columbus Day, every President's Day, there's a sale. And well, yes, that gets a little bit routine. We know it's going to happen, but it's also very timely when it does that because we know it's now. It's Memorial Day. Memorial Day is only on a Monday, so this sale is going to be 2 weeks at the most. Okay, every sale is. But in our mind, it's very timely. That's what it is. So I'm throwing out an idea to you guys here. This is just kind of top of my head. Just thought we should do this. The Champion Reads Groundhog's Day Extravaganza. You won't believe your ears. You won't believe your eyes. You won't believe how much your life changes when you listen to the Champion Reads Groundhog Day Extravaganza. Okay, are you guys excited now?
Totally. We should do that every single time.
Yeah. So one of the simplest ways is what's going on in the world. What's happening right now that you can put it out there? What's a news headline? What's the latest trend? What's the movie coming out to tie it into? How can you make your launch exciting at that moment where people's minds know that a week, a month, a year from now, it's not going to be the same world that it is when you do your launch. And you've only got that one single time that launch is going to coincide with Groundhog's Day 2025. So that's my first thought is you got to make it relevant to what's happening right now. That'll never happen again. So people have that sense of urgency, that sense of connection, and the sense of history, to be honest, even though it may not be as grand as all of that, our subconscious works that way. They recognize the timeliness, the sense of urgency and historic moments going on.
Yeah, I'll jump in and say, like, to me, the answer to Jeff Walker's question, he says 3 to 4 times a year, and to me, it just depends on what your business is. If you're in the business of selling a product, okay, you got to get creative. There's this thing called a calendar, and if you literally go to like calendar.com or something like that, you can seek all of the holidays. Like the other day, it was like, a recognition to petting your dog day. It's like, okay, let's get creative. If that makes sense with your business, look up all the dog holidays if your business is dog or product related, and do something around that. But you've gotta take a look at what your business is. Now, in Jeff Walker's mind, he's talking about like the official start from the knees up, because you're ground up, you've already built your business, right? From the knees up, you look at the bigger launches, the ones that are going to generate you, multiple zeros in your income for those launches. However, when it comes to staying relevant and keeping your audience excited, we had some really cool concepts, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I don't necessarily want to touch on it right this second, because I know there's a lot of great concepts building off of what you just said, Ian. But the principle here for me is you've got to take a look at your business. You got to take a look at your environment and your calendar and say, what makes sense for us? If we're a service-based business, writing the holidays may or may not be the greatest opportunity, because that's something different. But if you have something that you can build anticipation around, and you create your own holiday, or you create your own anticipation through the value of touching base with your connections, your audience, and your community, well, there's an idea. Launching isn't just about launching so that you can make more money. It's literally about developing and growing and enhancing and massaging those relationships that you currently already have. And I'll talk more into that a little bit more, but I'll pass the mic over to our fellow co-stars here.
I want to go up next, because 3 to 4 times, that it seems like a lot, which I think it gives that nice little buffer that if the first time you launch doesn't work, there'll be another one. And for most people don't know what your product is. Most people won't know what your service is. And so when you put it out, and let's just say you fail at it, it doesn't go the way you go. A couple months later, you figure out all the nuts and bolts, you try it again, and then boom, it might explode. I think it was Lewis Howes, as I was watching his beginning of his story of what he was doing. He wrote a book. John, I think you might actually know this better than I do. He wrote a book, went out and tried to sell it, and just did horrible. Like, he couldn't sell it, and just was not working for him. And then with whatever he does, he wrote another book, and then it just like flew off the shelves. Everyone wanted it. What started his whole thing with going. And so I don't know why I'm jumping on that failure side, but like multiple times you can be able to launch it if it doesn't work. For those people who are scared that this has to be the big perfect thing, it doesn't. And the other thing is, like, 3 to 4 times you're hitting on the major stuff going on. Like, you got November, which is Black Friday and around the holiday time. You got 3 months back around August, so back to school for everyone that's going there. End of summer. Then you got the beginning of the summer sales in May as you jump into the wonderful sunny place. And then you got what's the other one? And then like Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. Share our product with someone you love. Share our service with someone that you care about, whether it's business or in your personal life. So it's just, in each of these things, it's not about perfection. It's about just getting it and then getting it out there, I think, is more important than perfection, for sure.
Yeah, getting it out there is the big thing. There's certain holidays, certain events and things that can lead themselves to a theme to go along with it. But I just came back from a vacation in Japan, and in November, there were these big signs in the stores, Black Friday sale. Well, Japan doesn't have Thanksgiving, let alone a Black Friday, but they still have Black Friday sales. probably because the news is worldwide now. But you can create any event. I attended a lecture with Gary Vee about a year ago now, and he was talking about social media. And he said that this has changed the landscape of everything with sales. Now, he does something a little bit different than what Jeff Walker says. Gary Vee said he spent years building up an email list that's useless now. I think there's still a benefit there. But Gary Vee's point was you can go online and you can create an online event. And if it bombs, the great thing is 3 days later, no one remembers there was anything going on anyways. And you do another one because one, our attention spans are about 6 seconds long nowadays, 3 seconds on social media. But so many things are happening. You know, it's so far buried in our feed that we can move on and do it again. Now, we don't necessarily want to do a huge launch and then if it doesn't work a week later, try and do the whole launch again. There's got to be some timing and figuring out how to do it better. But the fact is, if something doesn't work, no one's going to remember an advertising campaign that bombed. No one's going to remember that something didn't work. Matter of fact, a lot of times it's the opposite. Raise the hands here for you, those of you looking on camera. Who remembers the Taco Bell campaign? Yo quiero Taco Bell with a little chihuahua. Do you know what no, Willie doesn't. Okay. Do you know what the result was of that campaign for Taco Bell sales?
No idea.
Nothing. Do you know what the only actual result was from that campaign? Adoption of chihuahuas skyrocketed. People saw the commercial, they decided they wanted a dog, not a taco. It was a great campaign that's in our 2 out of 3 of our minds here, but it didn't work for that. And none of us said, well, Taco Bell failed. They went on to the next campaign, and we went out and bought tacos. So you can't fail with a launch. All that can happen is nothing, unless you really offend somebody. Let's not go there now. So the continual launch, you learned a little bit from the last one. If it didn't work, you have time to figure out what to do better. But you can't fail a launch. You can only not do anything more until the next one.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody can take your money on a launch. You know, the only thing that can be gained is the money you earn, or in not talking about money, just reach. I want to go back to, and by the way, I just have to say, yo quiero Taco Bell. That's what the Chihuahua instilled in my brain for all these years. And plenty of other failed campaigns, but I'll just leave it at that. I want to go back to this relationships idea, because think about this. You should think, how many times a year can I launch? Can it be, 12 times, once a month? Because truly you want to touch base with your audience, and you want to do it in really great ways. We were just talking about Gary Vee. Gary Vee wrote a great book called Jab, 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 Left Hook, which talks about giving value, but then asking in return. And so you develop that cadence with your audience. Well, let's talk about how launching can develop great relationships with your audience. I run a publishing company called Integrity Publishing, and just about every other month we're producing and launching a brand new first of all, Amazon Kindle ebook for free that falls in line, that goes onto the Amazon bestseller lists, so that we can call and give titles to 300, almost 400 now new authors, the title of best-selling author. It's a really awesome experience. But we have now since put out about 29 books over the last few years. And you would think, wow, do people ever just get bored, just annoyed that you're coming out with a book every single other month and you're asking them to go and download this book? And it came to me in an epiphany the other day. Epiphany. I just wanted to sound intelligent and say that on this line. But I realized that no, the answer is no. We're not annoying our audience. In fact, we're giving ourselves the gift and opportunity to touch base with them, to give them a gift. And what do people love to do for other people? I'm going to give you the answer. It's help. Other people love to help other people. And so when you reach out, every time I have a launch, I send about 500 personal text messages. If you know me and you're listening to this, you've probably received one of my text messages before. I even send them to the authors in every book, even though they're in the book, because I want them to feel touched. I want them to feel included, and I want them to feel validated, seen, and experienced, because that is part of the process. So 29 books later, I can turn to anybody and saying, hey, you know what? If it wasn't for me, you probably wouldn't have any books in your Kindle library. I'm telling you, we've given you 29 free books, and all of them are fantastic. I vouch for every single one of them. But on the personal end, and I'll wrap up with this, is that it's touching base with these people. People want to know that they are valuable to you, not that you're trying to sell them. If your language is sales-based, you got to switch your language. Start thinking about, how do I touch base with my audience, whether I have an email list of 30,000 or 3. Okay. You've got to be able to reach out, touch base, and build a relationship often by sharing value with these people. And so whether your launch is like what I was talking about, a book launch, or you are, building up to create a new webinar or something that you might be doing that's useful for your business, think about it from a relationships-based approach, rather than blasting an email, aka spam. Okay. Rather than blasting out an email and just reaching the biggest cast of a net as you can, think about the individuals. You can cast a net and catch lots of fish if you do it right and if you know how to do it. And that's what you're building up to with these launch sequences. However, if you can't throw a net and catch anything, go back to one lure, go back to one line, and do it the old-fashioned way and cast it over the edge, and do it until you understand how to develop and catch the great the great catches that come with fishing, right? And I hate using the word fishing in the response of building relationships, but just think of it in that regard. Because if you really do reach out to individuals like they're your family, your friends, your distant contacts that you've been so excited to reach out to, that's when you'll start to see launch sequences really take off. And then your numbers, woo, over the moon.
With that, you got just second testament to that. You got to make them you got to communicate to them like they're your friend. You can't do it. I'm going to use the words of someone I knew way back when, named John Kovacs Jr., who said, don't have transactional relationships, but perpetual relationships. Ask yourself the question, if I were stuck at 3 a.m. in the middle of the road, who would I call first? And that first person to come to your mind probably isn't someone that email blasted you and to amongst everyone. It'll be someone who had a personal connection, who you built trust with, that you know that at 3 a.m. they're going to pick up their phone and be willing to get out of bed and come to basically save you. It's that relationship side of connecting, about being real, of stopping. I'll say this. I over the last 5 days last week, I reached out to 50 different people. 10 people a day was my goal. And out of these 10 people, there was one person in particular that I reached out to. And it felt like, as we were talking, it was very surface level talking. And so at the very end of it, he was just like, yeah, I wish the best for both of us. And instead of either leaving it there, or instead of saying, hey, can you give me a referral for my business? I didn't do either. I said, hey, this person, I don't want to say their name, are you doing okay? It might just be me, but something feels off. And that relationship that we built before, as well as that interaction we had, he opened up talking about kids, that they're getting to a certain age and that they're starting to become troublesome. And we just had a great great talk about it. To which at the end, he's just like, Willie, thank you for just being such an amazing individual and sharing your light with people. And I'm like, that's the relationships that we want with the people that we work with. Of course, when we launch a product, it's not going to be that close of a relationship. It's going to be more professional, but that trust, that respect, the thing of I'm talking to you as a human rather than an object carries so much weight, and you're going to get 100, 1,000 times more of the results than if you just treat them in that transactional way.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to disagree with a little bit with one thing you said there, Willie. Sometimes it is that personal for your launch. Depending on your business, it might be a really personal one. And at the risk of going off a little bit from where Jeff Walker has on this, your launch might be getting 10 clients if your business is, like a lot of what William does is coaching. You're not going to try and get 1,000 new coaching clients this week. So your launch might be to get 5 or 10, in which case you're sending out a smaller number of personal ones, which ties into John's fishing comment. Fishing actually can be a great analogy for that, because there's different ways of fishing. You can throw a net over the side of the boat and scoop up everything within a 10 square meter. I have no idea how big nets are, sorry. Whatever size they are, you can scoop up everything in there and hope you get all that. Or you can be on a river with a fly, which is tied specifically, color, size, scent, everything, to catch a specific kind of fish. And it's very, very niche, very focused with that fishing. And depending on your business, if you're Wendy's, you're going to throw out a huge net and hope you get a whole bunch of people. If you're a dyslexic achievement coach, you're going to tailor it very specifically to that one type of client that you're looking for in that. And I think just an out there advertising example that we've all seen, which is a master of this, is Subaru. If you ever look at Subaru car commercials, they're always the same. You pass your Subaru on to your daughter who had a puppy and now it's an old dog, and you pass the car on and it goes to the next generation, and it's got mud on the side of it, because Subaru has done so much research to know who their core demographic is. And they make commercials for their core customer that already loves Subaru, already knows Subaru, and feels like they are in that commercial. That's them out there. And there's a word for that, mass customization, which the more we get into AI, which will probably be a book before too awful long, I'm sure, is the way to do it. How can you send a mass campaign that's customized to your specific group? And depending on the business you're in, that's what a lot of us are looking for. Know your audience. Know who you're trying to reach. John's trying to reach people who are too cheap to buy a book and they want a free one. So my Kindle is full of every one of these free books. No, he wants to show value. He says, I want to reach people who want to learn, want to grow, want value, and we're going to give them that. And that grows his list so that his businesses have that to use and help out his authors. So go fishing, but know whether you need a net or you need a fly, and build that up. That's your pre-launch that you need to find out. And once you really know your audience, I think you can relaunch as opposed to pre-launch. You can relaunch over and over again. Depending on your audience, you might have to really shake it up to make it look different, or you might already have a core audience that's going to jump right on that. So I'm coming back to a different point, I guess, but do your research. Just because you send an email blast doesn't mean you're going to get a whole bunch of money pouring in from it.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I'll jump in there and say this, and I'll be bold enough, if you guys will allow me to. I want to be bold enough to say, as long as you think of your audience as a list, you're not going to succeed. As long as you think of them as just a bunch of names on a list and a bunch of numbers, you will not succeed. But the second you change your paradigm and say, you know what, this is my community, and you treat them that way, uh you do not treat your community just like with spam. You don't run around and ding dong ditch other people's houses in your community. No, you treat them with awesomeness. You give them gifts, you leave baskets, you send them coupons and opportunities and all kinds of great updates and things about you. But something that Willie said that kind of actually touched me and changed my mindset on this, like, if you're a coach, consultant, maybe even a therapist, maybe it is the approach you want to take, where you literally reach out with that personal thought in mind. Like, how are you today? Like, really, are you doing okay? You might want to focus on the intentional, maybe the emotional side of connecting with someone, because your business is all about trust. I mean, all of our businesses are about trust, but especially when you're in a position to be with people one-on-one, you want to develop the most trust where they think of you all the time. For example, I'm an accountability coach, and I keep begging my clients to reach out to me every single week because I want to help them. And when they think, oh, you know what, I don't want to bother John, that's when I know I'm failing, because I want them to bother me. I want them to find solutions to their goals. I want them to achieve their 90-day goals in such a short amount of time, because I've done it and I've seen how it's changed and transformed my life. And so for me, it's even more important to reach out and develop them. So I'm bold enough to say, look, if you're thinking of your list as a list or numbers or just a bunch of people you can blast it to, you got to change your mindset. You've got to change your language. You got to change everything around that, because what you're really doing is you're trying to connect with your community. And these are humans, these are souls, these are people that want to buy from you, that want to help you, that want to connect, and they want to feel like you matter and that they matter to you. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I'm gonna oversimplify this. Maybe I'm being too bold now, but truly think of these people as people, because we're in the business of people. And the more you do that, the more you will attract and create your community. I'm going to give myself the red sign now. I know we're running out of time. Red,
blue, green, yellow.
did somebody say green?
Oh, there you go. There you go. All the colors, got a Rubik's Cube sitting next to me. It's so crucial. And as we share our final thoughts, I want to bring up kind of the ultimate question of, do you want this to work? A lot of times we need to ask ourselves this, because it's, what is our end goal with what we are trying to launch? Are we trying to launch something to make money quick and then we'll just leave by the wayside after? Or are we launching something to leave a legacy? Launching something that will outlast us, or at least something that will create impact for everyone else in their lives. I know, at least for me, that's kind of impact that I want. That's why when asking the question, like, what's the reason behind the launch, you get very clear on the decisions that you make from then, because the value that you bring to other people in the moment will change, because you're not thinking of, I need to get their money right now, I need to get their credit card right now. It's, when does it need to happen? And when is it the best for, as the launch happens, to be able to create the most impact? So my final thoughts on all of this is, all of this is so important. I love this book. Jeff Walker did such an amazing job when talking about the launch, from the pre-launch to the pre-launch to the launch to the post-launch. Just such a wonderful example of a step-by-step analysis of what you do through the entire thing. And the message that I got from the entire book is, it's about the people that you're giving it to. And if you make it about the people that you give it to, ignore your ego, ignore the information that you knew beforehand, focus on the things that have worked. Hashtag Go Launch by Jeff Walker. Focus on the things that have worked. And when you do, it'll work. Make it for your audience. Make it so that it's going to be able to last. And I'll go out just like John did and make a bold statement of, if you do that, drop everything you knew, focus on what works, and do it for your audience, you're going to create such an amazing business that you're going to be up there with all the other big brands that we hear about. But only if you focus on your audience and you make it so that it works for them, not just you.
I love that. And that actually is the same thing that I was thinking about, William, as we talked about that. I wrote down here genuine and circled that. And then after that, I wrote down the 4 words that are key to success. Care about your customer. If you care more about your customer than about the dollars they're going to give you, they're going to feel that. And we see that in advertising all the time. I use McDonald's because they're so successful. Their commercials show people smiling and laughing and happy. They don't show people handing over money at the register. Now, does McDonald's want the money coming in more than they want people happy? I don't know. I'm not going to go there. But they portray showing people happy and that they are going to help you be more happy, help your family be closer. There's a great example of a guy who started a game company, sold a board game in the book launch. And he didn't say it specifically, but I believe this guy had a vision of people, families sitting down and having fun together and growing closer. And that's what he wanted. He wanted people to smile and laugh and have fun, not just get money coming in. And yes, we need money. It's a necessary evil, all of that. But if we don't show our customers in our launch, in our message sent out, that we care about them, we're never going to be successful. People aren't going to want to watch us grow. And at the risk of this being a bad analogy, look at big pharma out there who now has a reputation that they just want our money. They don't want to cure people and make people happier. I don't know if they do or not. But they suffer, at least in the public opinion, because people have the impression that they're after their money, not after their well-being. So we need to be after people's well-being, show people we care about them. And the only way to show our customers that we truly care about them is we need to truly care about our customers and keep that as a focus, that we want our customers to be happy. And I believe that success will come with that. You got to have a decent product. You got to be able to get the message out there. But you have to put your customers first, and they have to know it.
And in my final words, I'll just say, per Ian's example earlier, I always saw myself as a Land Rover / Jaguar guy. I like that fancy looking, sleek car rolling down the road, take it to the outdoors, just looking so good. And you know who my wife always thought she was? The exact same you described as a Subaru commercial. She has her Subaru with the camper on top, and then she opens up the trunk and out pours a car full of dogs. Well, guess what my life is, guys? I've got a Subaru with a car full of dogs, and of course that's our life now. But I've got to share that is how we felt, and there's nothing better than connecting with a product, a service, or anything, or an opportunity that one you love, that actually makes sense with you, your life, and your vision, and what you're feeling. And like you all said, and I love how we shared it. It's all about our customers and making them feel valued and important.
Absolutely. And champions, that wraps up another episode of Champion Reads. Jeff Walker's book Launch is such a fantastic book, and glad that we're able to wrap up the entirety of the series that we did on this episode. If you found inspiration in this episode, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and the rest of them. You can also find us at mychampionscircle.com, our website, where you'll find the link to our podcast, links to our socials, as well as everything else going in the Champion Circle universe. Till next time, champions, continue to be awesome. Continue to make the steps you need in your life. And always remember, when you put the focus on your audience and the people who matter the most, that will truly show who you are, who your business is, and you're going to get the money and the expertise, as well as the business that you are wanting in the future. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.